at 12. The 6 o'clock news starts right now.
And new at 6, San Antonio firefighters taking care of hot spots after putting out a house fire on the northwest side. Sky 12 over the home in the 5500 block of Slattery near Wurzbach Road. The call came in a little after 4:30 this afternoon.
Crews say when they reached the home, they could see flames coming from inside. Firefighters went inside the home, attacked the fire, knocked it down, and say they rescued a dog from the house. No injuries, no word yet on what sparked those flames.
The community of Uvalde reeling 24 hours after the Austin American-Statesman and an Austin TV station released surveillance video of the Robb Elementary School shooting.
And a lot of people are upset over the lack of action from police after the shooter went inside the school and started shooting, ultimately killing 19 students and 2 teachers before he was killed by law enforcement.
Our RJ Marquez is live in Uvalde with their reaction to what they saw in that video. RJ?
Yeah, David and Alicia, the majority of people here, everyone that we spoke to, in fact, were still very upset, very angry over that video being leaked out into the public or on social media as well. One woman was even telling us that she couldn't even bring herself to watch it and that she refused to see it on social media or even try and share it online. But there were also many questions from the people that saw that video about the police response after they finally went through that entire video and seen the response for the very first time. So that leaked video, of course, shows law enforcement officials waiting in the hallway for 77 minutes before confronting the shooter inside the classroom here at Robb Elementary. At last night's city council meeting, many people shared their outrage and anger with law enforcement officials. Today, the people we talked to question whether their kids are even safe returning to school and wondering why these officers did not take action to protect these students and teachers.
If something like this would happen again, and to say they're gonna just stand there or they're not gonna do nothing. Like, how are we supposed to feel our kids are safe? I don't feel my kids are safe. Going back to school, I don't think
right around the corner.
It's bad. It's not safe at all.
I saw it from the beginning to the end, and it was a long time of people just like doing nothing, you know, just standing there, you know, honestly.
After reviewing that video, I mean, it angers me. Why so long? Knowing you have the same amount of weapons or you have more weapons than the shooter, and you have body armor, you have tactical gear on, and yet you didn't do anything. You took an oath, and that's a very serious thing.
So, Mr. Galindo, you just heard from him right there. He told us earlier that he served in the military for more than 20 years. And when you take an oath like this to serve and protect, that means that sometimes you have to put your life on the line. Now, as far as that leaked video, families here of the victims will get to meet with the Texas House of Representatives committee that's investigating this shooting. So that committee is going to meet with them on Sunday. They're going to answer any questions that these families may have about the video and also share with them their preliminary report. Reporting live from Uvalde, RJ Marquez, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, RJ. And that leaked video of what happened inside the hallways of Robb Elementary leaves more questions about the law enforcement response than answers. The question still remains why it took so long for law enforcement to engage and take down the shooter, and how, if at all, will any of these officers be held accountable? Camelia Juarez took those questions to experts and has more on their take.
You're trained from your first day to do exactly what your superiors tell you to do, and you're trained by your superiors to do the things that you can.
Charlie Wilkinson is the executive director at Community Law Enforcement Association of Texas, or CLEAT, an organization that provides legal representation to various law enforcement who are accused of breaking their oath of duty.
The violation of oath is an accusation that no law enforcement officer could ever recover from in their career.
An officer who is found in violation of not doing their job can be terminated or lose their peace officer license. And along with that comes a negative report that can make it challenging to get another job in law enforcement.
Some people have lost their license for having a complaint against them for driving under influence of alcohol. Some people have lost their license because they're involved in and conduct unbecoming.
If an officer is found to be negligent or doesn't follow their duty, an officer can face civil lawsuits or criminal charges from the state and federal government. In the case of the Uvalde shooting, so far no civil lawsuits or criminal charges have been filed against the responding officers. But Wilkinson says more information is needed.
We need to be talking about, are people properly trained? Did they know what to do? And then was there someone there that assumed responsibility? And who was really in charge? We find out those things, then the families can be served and at least know something.
Now, there have been lawsuits filed in connection with the shooting at Robb Elementary, but so far no criminal charges have been filed. Camelia Juarez, KSAT 12 News.
Parents of 4 children killed at Robb Elementary are showing their anger, not necessarily at the newly released video of the police response there, but at the deadly instrument that took their children's lives, assault-style weapons. They joined parents and survivors from other mass shootings at today's March 4th rally in Washington, D.C. Ursula Perry with their emotional message to lawmakers and warning to other parents.
The March on Washington offering lawmakers a visceral image of the pain Uvalde parents are living with every day.
I just want y'all to know that every night I wake up at 3 a.m. and my wife is sitting there crying, wondering why she's alive and our daughter isn't. I promise you, you do not want this to happen to you.
For the surviving kids like Noah Orona, parents are describing an uncertainty from all the trauma that lies ahead.
No matter how much counseling, no matter how much therapy, he will never be the same.
These parents joining a chorus of loved ones and survivors of other shootings, no longer asking for a change, but demanding a ban on assault-type weapons.
I picked up the sheet, was wrapping her body, and saw her wounds that pierced her little heart. My little girl fought there at the school till she couldn't no more. Our gloves are off. We're here to kick some ass.
And there are a lot of what ifs. What if I had taken her home after the award ceremony? But there is one question that should be on the forefront of their minds. What if the gunman never had access to an assault weapon?
And while many questions remain about the Uvalde shooting, sadly, that is the one we likely already know the answer to. Ursula Perry, KSAT 12 News.
New at 6, a man is now behind bars after admitting to killing 2 people last night in Hays County. According to the Hays County Sheriff's Office, 30-year-old Noé Raimundo Ibarra allegedly called 911 sometime after 10:30 last night, saying he shot 2 people. When deputies arrived, they found 2 men dead from gunshot wounds. Ibarra was then taken into custody after being identified as the shooter. He was taken to Hays County Jail, where he was charged with capital murder.
A man rushed to the hospital in critical condition after a late-night shooting on the far west side. It happened in the 8600 block of Harvest Moon. Officers tell us a man and a woman got into an argument. The woman pulled a gun, shot the man, saying he had been assaulted. Then police say she drove him to a fire station. EMS took him to University Hospital. The woman was taken into custody, but no word on whether she's been charged.
He was supposed to be executed today by lethal injection, but on Monday, convicted murderer Ramiro Gonzalez was granted a stay of execution. The delay wasn't because he wanted to donate a kidney, rather because an expert witness who testified in his trial is now saying that testimony wasn't accurate. Erica Hernandez breaks down what this all means and what's next in this case.
I have no qualms about dying.
Ramiro Gonzalez's life is spared again after his 6th day of execution. The Texas Court of Criminal Appeals decided to revisit his sentence, which was for the 2001 kidnapping, rape, and murder of Bandera County teen Bridget Townsend. The latest delay coming after forensic psychiatrist Dr. Edward Grapan says his 2006 testimony during the trial was not correct. He told jurors that Gonzalez would likely commit sexual assault again and would be a future danger to the public.
He didn't use any real scientific assessments that would help him render the decision that he made, when it seems like he just did all of these things just based on the interview, which was wholly and entirely incorrect.
Local forensic psychologist Dr. John Delatorre, who has testified in criminal cases before, explains how the situation should have been handled.
I will agree that Mr. Gonzalez does present a risk to society. This psychiatrist really found himself in a problematic area because he's giving all of these things to someone who's 18 years old.
Dr. Gripan has since re-interviewed Gonzalez and is now saying that his sentence should be changed to life in prison. So what happens next to Ramiro Gonzalez? Well, the Texas Attorney General's office could appeal the latest decision. If not, it goes back to the trial courts in Medina County, where a hearing would be held to determine if his sentence gets overturned to life sentence instead of the death penalty. Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.
Look at the highways with TransGuide. We're taking you to I-35 at Olympia Parkway. Traffic moving very slowly. We're looking back downtown, so this is the northbound lanes that are going so slow. You can see it looks like a big rig was pulling a trailer over there on the side of the road, and that big rig was actually in the middle of the road at one point. So you can imagine the mess it was, but at least it's moving now. We'll keep an eye on that for you. If you are headed that direction, just know it's a mess.
Yeah, taking a look outside with live cam. It is very hot outside, still 103 at the San Antonio International Airport. Today, though, we got up to 104, our 5th day in a row where the high temperature has been at or greater than 104. Now, unfortunately, the aquifer has fallen by 0.2 of a foot over the past 24 hours. It's now approaching the level of 30 feet below the monthly average. That being said, in the pollen count, we have had molds out there. Molds are moderate, pigweed and grass are low. And in the almanac today, as I mentioned, 104 for the high temperature. This morning, we were only at 81, so we really didn't even cool down all that much in the morning hours. Coming up, we'll be able to shave off a couple of degrees from the high temperature, and we'll talk about a slightly better rain chance tomorrow. But a couple of degrees off of the high temperature and slightly better rain chances is about all I can do for you. I'll have the details coming up in a bit.
KSAT 12 celebrates Military City, USA, powered by USAA.
San Antonio has been called Military City, USA, and we're showing you why we're at the heart of military training. Operating for nearly 80 years and exclusive to Joint Base San Antonio Lackland is the Inter-American Air Forces Academy, or IAFA.
Well, IAFA offers one of the most unique missions in the United States Air Force arsenal, and that is we provide instruction to our partner nations in Latin America across 32 different courses, all in Spanish.
The Inter-American Air Forces Academy has provided world-class education and training to Latin American partners, and here's why.
Well, I will say with 2 words: security cooperation. In an age where our budgets are limited, and our ability to do things beyond our borders is limited, we need partners. And we need it more than ever next to our borders. So Latin America serves as a very critical strategic point where we need to make friendships, influence partnerships, and of course build such capacity that when needed, we can all operate in the same events, whether it's a hurricane or any other crisis, we can help each other out.
Welcome back. I'm Stefania Jimenez, and tonight on the Night Beat, we have a question. Are we dealing with yet another COVID wave?
You had a mild infection 2 months ago. The likelihood is you are going to get BA5 if you aren't vaccinated.
What doctors say is now different about the strains that are spreading right now. Also, rising enrollment at private schools ahead of the new year, what school officials say is prompting some parents to make a major change. Also, a San Antonio mainstay moving to a new home, the next step for the performers at Woodlawn Theater. All these stories and a lot more coming up tonight on The Night Beat.
Bird's eye view of San Antonio from Sky 12, and
That's where I want to be. Okay, I'm leaving.
Okay.
You got this?
No, you can't leave. No. I'm just kidding. You got to stick around another 45 minutes.
A Pearsall splash pad, correct? That's what where we were
that looked
wishing
good.
we were.
That's nice. A lot of people cooling off on the splash pads and the local pools, whatever way to stay cool. Guys, today was our 13th consecutive 100-degree day. All of July, we have reached 100 degrees. I want to show you, though, across the KSAT 12 viewing area, the highs for the day. Kerrville, congratulations. Your high temperature was only 99. You just missed that triple-digit mark. Elsewhere, though, it was 106 in Del Rio, 104 in Hondo, 104 in Gonzales, 104 in New Braunfels. I know that Pleasanton number there says 86, but that's actually wrong. Pleasanton was able to get up well past 100 degrees today. Now, this makes the 35th 100-degree day so far this year. We are likely going to have at least in the top 3 years of 100-degree days. That third place, 41 100-degree days back in 2013. Well, we'll probably get to that by the end of this week. Take a look at the high temperatures over the coming days. We're going to be looking at highs at or above 100 consistently. So biggest thing is we are really not going to be cooling down all that much in the coming days. Now, today the high was 104, so we'll be able to shave off a few degrees there, but still we'll be challenging a record on Saturday, and we'll be challenging a record next Wednesday as well. The weekend looks hot. Now, with that being said, there are still a couple of areas that are seeing some rain. You'll notice that around San Antonio, though, we are dry. Up in the hill country, there are some showers and storms in northern Bandera County, up into Edwards County as well. The most robust of these right now is up in northern Valverde County, approaching Pandale. There could even be some small hail there as well. A lot of ranch lands, very low populated areas out there, but if you are in northern Valverde County, just be aware that storm is on the way. Otherwise, it is 102 degrees. Winds are kind of gusty, up to about 20 miles per hour from the east, and there's still just enough humidity to make it feel a degree or two hotter outside than it actually is. Through about 8 p.m., we'll carry a 10% chance for a stray shower, but the big story tonight is going to be how warm and windy it is. Gusts will be up to about 25 miles per hour from the east-southeast, and it'll still be near 90 degrees by midnight. Now, that pesky heat high has moved a little bit off to the west. And so the best that I can do is to open up the window for a few isolated showers and storms on the east side of this heat high through San Antonio later tomorrow. So between the hours of about 4 p.m. and 10 p.m., a 20% chance for an isolated shower or storm. So again, the vast majority of us will miss out, but keep those fingers crossed if you want some rain between 4 p.m. and 10 p.m. tomorrow. Otherwise, we'll wake up at 80 degrees tomorrow. It will be 92 right around lunch, 102 for the high temperature, and only a 20% chance for an isolated shower or storm. Variable winds tomorrow at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Elsewhere, it'll be 105 in Del Rio, 106 in Eagle Pass, 100 in Kerrville, 102 in Canyon Lake, 103 in Gonzales, 100 in Beeville, 104 in Pleasanton, and a neighborhood view here of high temperatures, 102 in Converse, 104 in Castroville, 103 Port SA, 104 New Braunfels, 103 in Seguin, and 103 in Nixon Smiley area. Again, 100, 100, 100. I kind of sound like a broken record here, but it is the case. Another change, but not necessarily for the good, is that over the weekend, we are going to see Saharan dust come back. It'll be pretty light on Saturday, but becoming more moderate on Sunday and Monday of this upcoming week. So that's another thing to contend with if you are allergic to the Saharan dust. You know, we just can't win here. We're going to be 100 and see Saharan dust in the air. So that's the way it is. But coming up, we're going to talk about how it's not just those afternoon highs that have affected us. It's also the morning lows that have kept us the hottest on record in a while. I'll tell you those details coming up.
Thank you, Sarah.
So it's not about wins and losses in Vegas. It's just about watching your players and see how much they can improve.
Exactly. Winning is just the icing on the cake, seriously, in Summer League. I mean, you always feel better after a victory, but the bottom line is, yes, it's all about developing the young Spurs, especially those rookies just drafted a handful of weeks ago. One of those young men, Malachi Branham, is coming off his best Summer League game in Las Vegas. And Nelissa Smith, I'll tell you what, the rookie is a double-double machine coming up.
Forever hard, but we only had a couple practices in summer league, and coming out on the court, it's kind of tough. We don't know how each other plays. We don't have team chemistry, but it's all about getting the reps in.
Malachi Branham and the Summer League Spurs will get to work on that team chemistry tomorrow in Big Board Sports. At 0-3, the Summer League Spurs are one of 3 winless teams in Las Vegas, joining the 0-2 Sixers and the 0-3 Mavericks. Wins are nice, but Las Vegas is more about developing the young players and teaching them the Spurs' way of doing things. The Spurs' 2 first-round draft picks playing in Las Vegas are doing a nice job. Blake Wesley, who was drafted 25th overall, is averaging 18.7 points per game, which is 14th best in Las Vegas, to go with 4 rebounds and 3 assists in nearly 31 minutes per contest. Rookie Malachi Branham, who was selected 20th overall, is playing 27.5 minutes and averaging 13.7 points, 4.7 boards, and 1.7 assists per contest. Branham had his best scoring game in the Summer League and Monday's loss to the Rockets with 20 points. Head coach Mitch Johnson was asked if that was Branham's best game in Las Vegas.
I think so. I think he just kind of played his game. In terms of when the shots were there, he shot it. If not, he drove it, he got off it, he played. I think the previous games he got in between some. He passed up some he should have took, then he forced a couple because he passed up the ones previous. So it was good to see him just kind of get into a rhythm and just play, because offensively he's got some dynamic there.
Spurs will face the Atlanta Hawks tomorrow at 2 p.m. in Las Vegas at the Cox Pavilion. Warren High School alum Stanley Amude is having a nice summer league with the Pistons, wearing number 37. He knocks down a jumper here, and then later in the game he takes the feed and slams it down. He scored 14 points yesterday in the Pistons' 87-101 loss to the Pacers. In 2 games played, Amude is averaging 13 points. Led by head coach Becky Hammond, the Las Vegas Aces won at the New York Liberty yesterday, 107-101. The Aces started off hot this season, going a league best 13-2, but since then they've hit some hard times, losing 5 of their last 8, dropping to 16-7, which is tops in the Western Conference. The Aces led the Liberty 52-28 at halftime, then survived a second half charge by the Liberty to win by 6. Becky says her team needs to figure out how to take hits without losing control, but she is proud of them for how they closed out New York.
Down the stretch, I thought my team executed well and made free throws, big free throws. On the road, that's never easy. So that's some progress for us, actually, if you've been watching any of our games. So was pleased with how they executed down the stretch offensively.
Becky and the Aces will play at the Liberty tomorrow morning at 10. Earlier today, the Connecticut Sun beat the Indiana Fever 89-81. Fever rookie Alyssa Smith had 12 points and 13 rebounds in the loss. That's her second straight double-double and her 7th this season in 20 games played. The East Central great is averaging 13.2 points and 8.2 rebounds. Now we end sports with a feel-good story. Over the weekend, Zach Tweet, a linebacker with the Iowa Hawkeyes, stopped to fix a stranger's flat tire. Tina Gunn was on the way back from her son's track meet in Minnesota when she got a flat on I-35 outside Story City, Iowa. She needed to get her kids home, and Tweet did not hesitate to help her out fixing that flat.
There you go. So now there are more Iowa Hawkeye fans.
Yeah, there you go.
And a very grateful family.
Indeed, yeah.
And a guy who knows how to change a tire.
He does.
See, there you go.
Yeah, because she didn't know how, she said. So luckily, he stopped.
Got to have some
Saved the
skills.
day.
Yeah.
Thanks, Larry.
We'll be right back. New numbers out today from the Bureau of Labor Statistics show inflation surged 9.1% year over year in June. That number marks a pandemic high and the highest inflation the U.S. has seen since 1981. Jen Sullivan with what it means for Americans already suffering.
Soaring prices for food, housing, and gasoline, driving up inflation to a 41-year record high. New data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows inflation soared 9.1% compared to a year ago. That's the highest since 1981.
The cost of doing business, the cost of going to school, the cost of buying a car, and the cost of buying a home are all just that much more expensive right now.
Wednesday's Consumer Price Index also found prices for food at home rose 12.2% year over year in June. Shelter was up 5.6%, and energy prices rose by 41.6%. Gas prices accounted for the biggest part of the increase, with costs up nearly 60% in June over last year. Prices in some categories have been declining in recent weeks, but that's not captured in Wednesday's report.
We did expect a very strong increase in June with relief coming in July. However, it's not just the top line number, the one that we're all attached to. It's the way in which inflation is broadening out and now looks to be persistent.
That decline has been leading some experts to predict that June's consumer price index could be the peak of the inflation crisis. Economists say the latest data further indicates that the Fed will likely continue to raise interest rates to help tame inflation, which would make it more expensive to borrow, from car loans to mortgages and credit cards. For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
News around America tonight. The statue of civil rights pioneer Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune officially taking the spot where a statue of a Confederate general once stood. At unveiling and dedication ceremony this morning for the first state commissioned statue of a black person to ever be placed in the U.S. Capitol Statuary Hall. The statue is made from marble quarried from Michelangelo's cave in Tuscany. It'll represent the state of Florida.
And news around Texas. Houston police are now investigating a grisly discovery after a man reported finding human remains in his barbecue pit. Officers were called to the home yesterday afternoon where the man told them he was working behind a home when he found what he believed was human skeleton. Investigators say they can't yet confirm whether that's the case. Once they do, if it is human remains, the next step is to determine who the person was and how they died. Right now, officials are calling it a death investigation. No charges have been filed.
Meantime, back here in our area, Southside ISD drastically improved test scores. And the next thing going up in the district, staff salaries. They tell Max Massey it's not just a good way to attract talent, but it also helps those who work in the district, whether tough financial times are coming.
Obvious gas prices, the economy is going up, everything's it's moving and we have to move along with it. So I as an employee, as a single mother, I'm happy working with Southside that they're able to do that for their staff members.
Meet Jessica Johnson. She's been with the district for 15 years. She's just one of the many staff members and teachers across the district looking at a pay raise.
We are demonstrating how we care based on the fact that they're worth their weight in gold, and we are demonstrating that we're going to do everything we can, be good stewards of the money so we can focus on our staff.
Now, Southside ISD is not only raising their pay, but they're also going to have the highest starting pay for first-year teachers across our area.
We have a $59,135 base rate for our zero experience teachers. And that means they're straight out of college, they're coming to us, or if they're coming to us out of the private sector.
New teachers are also eligible for a $3,000 performance bonus. There are no budget cuts for any program, so where is this pay raise coming from?
We're actually leveraging and capitalizing on our federal programs money. It allows us to supplement all of the programs that we're doing in our general operating fund, as well as allow us to expand on our raises and salaries.
As for Jessica, she doesn't plan on leaving Southside ISD anytime soon.
If there weren't this pay increase, do you think more staff members, more your teammates would have left to seek out other paying jobs?
With this increase, people will not leave. Yeah, we're getting the raise and incentives throughout the year. I mean, you can't beat that.
Max Massey, KSAT 12 News.
Curators at the Cincinnati Museum of Art bringing an artifact out of storage once they realized what they had on their hands. A magic mirror. What that means and the story behind it still to come.
And most of us are aware of sharks, especially when we're at the beach. But for Shark Awareness Day, the effort is to change the narrative around the ocean predator. That's coming up next at 6.
Welcome back. Tomorrow is Shark Awareness Day, which aims to set the record straight on sharks, as they've gotten a pretty bad rap thanks mostly to movies and books. But they're a very important part of our ecosystem. Tiffany Huertas went to SeaWorld to learn more about the vital role that sharks play in our oceans and look at how unique they really are.
And they are all unique in their own way. Many are developed to feed on different sorts of animals and maintain the ecosystems.
Inside this 400,000-gallon aquarium at SeaWorld San Antonio, you can find 4 different types of shark species.
We have our sand tiger, our sandbar, zebra, and nurse sharks.
Aquarium supervisor Janelle Baca says sharks play an important role in the ecosystem.
So they play a vital role taking care of all the sick, the weak, the dying fish, and other animals so that they maintain a healthy ecosystem. So without them, our ecosystems suffer. You spread disease, a lot of unhealthy fish might be in the area.
Sharks can go through 30,000 teeth in a lifetime. Once a tooth falls out, there's another that replaces it.
So they can have like 4 or 5 rows of teeth, and they can go through several teeth in a day.
Janelle says there are many misconceptions about sharks, including that they hunt humans.
Well, you got to understand that sharks are in their natural habitat, and we enter that habitat, right? And so what happens sometimes is sharks get curious because they can't reach out and touch. Okay, their sense of touch comes from their teeth, right? So they're going to take a bite, and it's either going to be something they're interested in or not.
The team at SeaWorld is ready to educate visitors about these sharks.
So we want to let people know that preserving our shark species is very important.
Tiffany Huertas, KSAT 12 News.
Outside with Live Cam. Now, see, this is the difference. You see the sharks, and what do you think of?
Finding Nemo, shark bite.
I think of the sharks, and I'm going, bump, 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 bump. Jaws from 1975.
Big gap there.
Alicia, have you ever seen Jaws?
I don't think I have.
Wow.
Whoa. Okay, I know what we're going to do this weekend. I know what we're going to do this weekend. Okay, so here's a look at what we've got covering in the forecast over the next few days. Well, of course, that triple-digit heat is going to continue. Now, I am going to talk about how tomorrow there is a slightly better chance for rain. Not a great chance, but slightly better. And that Saharan dust will be returning just in time for the weekend. We've got a lot to cover in the forecast coming up in just a bit.
There's quite a bit of buzz at the Cincinnati Art Museum. They say they have a magic mirror. It dates back to the 15th or 16th century, but it had been sitting in storage all this time. That is until someone started researching so-called magic mirrors. They're rare ancient mirrors that, in a certain light, reveal images or patterns hidden on their reflective surfaces.
If one looks closely, they can see an image of a Buddha surrounded by rays of light. After playing around with light, this mirror showed off its own magic. And on the back, if you know where to look, that's where the design is, along with inscriptions spelling out who was depicted. Oh, man. Amita, an important figure in various schools of East Asian Buddhism. I couldn't even say that, not even going to try. The discovery makes the museum one of a handful of institutions in the world to own a magic mirror. Well, that's pretty cool, though.
All right, so
could you put that? Never mind.
No. A new feature is coming to Twitter, and that will be welcome to a lot of people who don't want themselves mentioned in tweets. The social media platform is rolling out what it calls unmentioning. It means if someone mentions you in a conversation, you can just remove yourself.
That's what Twitter was about, was mentions. But anyway, the folks at Twitter say they want to help people, quote, control unwanted attention. To use unmentioning, you go to the 3-dot menu next to a tweet, and you'll see an option that says, get you out of this conversation. So you'll be untagged in replies, even though your username will still show up in the conversation.
Simple enough. And it would be hard to find a finger food we love more than French fries, which is a big reason.
Let's see some French fries.
Let's see some. Which is a big reason they have their own dedicated day to them. And it's today, National French Fry Day. Fries actually aren't French at all. Belgians claim they were the first to fry potatoes way back in the 1700s.
But it was the French that popularized fries food back in the mid-1700s. So there are 2 versions of how fries came to America. One is that Thomas Jefferson first served potatoes in the French manner at the White House back in 1802. The second theory is that World War I soldiers stationed in Belgium brought the idea back with them. Either way, Americans eat about 30 pounds of French fries per person each year.
How do you like your fries?
How do I like them? Fried?
No, like he means with ketchup or with mustard.
You throw a lot of stuff on French fries. Chili cheese fries.
Those are good.
Ooh.
Sarah? Those are really good. I actually really enjoy mustard, dipping my French fries in mustard, which I know is controversial, but I enjoy that. And the spicy ketchup from Whataburger, of course. You
can never go wrong.
Yeah. This atmosphere is feeling pretty spicy outside. We got up to 104 degrees today. Take a look at the almanac for the day. We were 9 degrees above the average. The average high temperature this time of year is 95. So yes, it is hot typically in the summer. Absolutely, it is hot. But for us to be 9 degrees above average and for this to be our 5th day in a row where we have had temperatures above 104 degrees, that is a little unusual. We did get back to 107 back in 2020, but that was an isolated incident. And in fact, this morning we got down to 81 degrees. So it has been a long time since we've seen the temperature dip below 80. The last time the temperature was below 80 degrees was right before 8 a.m. on Saturday. Since then, we have seen the temperature above 80 degrees at least for 4 days in 10 hours. In a row, we have had the temperature above 80 degrees. This is the longest stretch since at least 1946. So even in the mornings, we are not cooling down all that much here in San Antonio, and that's going to be the case tomorrow as well. Take a look at the satellite and temperatures right now. Most of us above 100 still. It's 102 in New Braunfels, 105 in Del Rio, 101 in Uvalde, 106 in Cotulla. Up in the hill country, temperatures are a little bit cooler, but still warm. It's 96 in Kerrville. And you can actually see a lot of cloud debris here from some isolated storms up in the hill country. Still, though, it is very hot outside right now, and even past sunset, it's still going to be warm. I will show you those storms that are ongoing right now across parts of the hill country. Let's go ahead and look out in Bandera County. You can see it falling apart, though. Just as these develop, they fall apart quickly. That's because of the influence of that high pressure system above us. But the Los Maples area may get a quick drink of water. Elsewhere, we have some thunderstorms moving from Edwards County into Valverde County, close to Devils River State Natural Area. Another thing we have on the radar, bats. This is not rain near Concan. These are the bats leaving the Frio Bat Cave. In fact, you can see them exiting in a circular pattern to go ahead and get that evening meal. So really cool to see those bats on the radar, but unfortunately, no rain in San Antonio. And over the next couple of days, our rain chances are going to be few and far between. But tomorrow we are going to have a slightly better rain chance than the last couple of days, about 20%. All right, that's as good as we can do, unfortunately. But there is a slightly better rain chance tomorrow. I'll add about 20% from about 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. This evening, though, it is just going to be a warm and windy night. Gusts up to about 25 miles per hour from the southeast. We're still going to be close to 90 degrees by midnight. Again, we're not cooling down as quickly in the evening and early morning hours. In that high-res futurecast, I'm going to show you that slightly better chance for rain tomorrow. Most of the day will be completely quiet, sunny, and hot, but after about 4 p.m., there could be a complex of storms across the hill country that could send some more energy towards San Antonio. Again, the chance for rain is only about 20%. This is a snapshot at about 8 p.m. tomorrow. Better rain chances across the hill country and out west. By midnight, those rain chances are over. 80 degrees in the morning, and we'll be completely sunny in the upper 80s by 10. Right around noon, 92 degrees. For the afternoon, high temperature 102, just a couple of degrees cooler than today, but still hot, and a 20% chance for an isolated shower or storm. Saharan dust returns Saturday through Monday. It's going to be out there, so if you're sensitive to it, plan accordingly right now. Otherwise, guys, I really don't see any major weather patterns to help shake us out of this triple-digit heat streak. Alicia, David.
Unfortunately. Thanks, Sarah.
In case you missed it, coming up next. And here's today's In Case You Missed It.
Yes, it's Wednesday, July 13th.
But there is one question that should be on the forefront of their minds.
What if the gunman never had access to an assault weapon?
Just one of many being heard in Washington today.
Now, earlier this week, the Uvalde County Commissioners passed a resolution calling for the raising of the age to buy an AR-15 style weapon. The resolution asks Governor Abbott to call for a special session of the Texas legislature to consider increasing the age from 18 to 21 in order to qualify purchasing semi-automatic and assault-type rifles. San Antonio police now saying an officer in an SAPD patrol vehicle hit a driver from behind. This was on Highway 90 near Couples Road. Officers tell us that the driver either stopped or had a near stop with her hazard lights on, and that's when the officer crashed right into her. Both the officer and the driver were taken to the hospital. Police are saying the officer may have had a concussion. At last check, the other driver's condition was stable. Twitter suing billionaire Elon Musk after Musk backed out of a deal to buy the company. On Tuesday, the social media company filed a lawsuit against Musk. He's claiming Twitter is withholding data about the number of bots and spam accounts that are on the platform. Twitter says Musk's desire to end the deal is, quote, though, invalid and wrongful. This month, the full moon, known as the buck moon, is going to be lighting up the sky. You'll see it starting today until Friday. The buck moon appears full on Tuesday morning to early Friday, according to the NASA. This moon, different from the other ones because it is a supermoon and it will appear brighter.
Well, not much relief from the heat, just shaving off a couple of degrees here and there, likely going to be at or above 100 over the next 7 days. Slightly better chance for rain tomorrow between about 4 p.m. and 10 p.m., but that slightly better chance, only a 20% chance. David, Alicia.
And Saharan dust on the way.
Yep.
So get ready.
Y'all have a good evening. More news tonight on the Night Beat.
Thanks for joining us.